Today, I'm going to share a positive story with you on behalf of a client that I met back in 2021. She is a mother to two, has a partner, and her journey started in July 2020, finding out that she had high-grade changes to her cervical cells. This went on to be precancerous cells, and she underwent extensive surgery. And I have called on her over the last couple of years to ask if I can share her story. And recently, touching base with her in May 2024, she's given me permission to share once again. And she also shared more good news. So I have celebrated this with her and just want to thank you publicly for letting me share this story with those who really need to hear it. It's inspiring, and a lot of my work does remain very private. So it is an honor, it is a privilege to be able to share this with you. So I'm going to be taking you through the timelines that she has shared with me, where she was and where she's at now. So back in 2020, she found out from a pap smear that she had high-grade changes to her cervical cells, and everything moved along relatively quickly. The following month, she was booked in for a colposcopy to find out more information, and these high-grade cell changes were confirmed. So in October of that year, she was booked in for a LETS procedure to remove the nasty cells, as she calls them, and to biopsy these cells and tissues around to find out even more information. So on top of preparing for a LETS procedure, she had a fear of hospitals. So when they tried to put the drip into her, her blood pressure bottomed out and she passed out. And they wanted to reschedule, postpone the surgery because how her body responded. But because she really didn't like hospital, she's like, no, we're here, we're doing this now. And she was determined not to come back. So they went through with the procedure, and she recalls having quite a challenging time with her recovery. So for 24 hours, she was violently ill and she was experiencing quite a bit of vomiting. And so this is all before we met. And I just want to talk a little bit about the power of emotional work here after sharing this experience, and why I share so much about processing your emotions, emptying out your emotional cup, especially if you are on a physical healing journey, which of course is going to impact all facets of your life. Is I believe that when we give ourselves a solid and clear emotional foundation, whatever it is that we choose to bring into our body or introduce, be it conventional and pharmaceutical, or maybe it is alternative and natural, or foods and diet, is that when we've got that good emotional foundation, a clear emotional foundation, that whatever we choose to do to our body can actually work to its fullest potential, and we can have a positive outcome. In addition to this, we can actually reduce the side effects of anything that we are introducing to our body. And people do have side effects, not only from conventional treatment, but also from alternative treatment. So the procedure, she was told it all went well and that they would see her for another checkup, another colposcopy in 6 months to see if there were any changes. However, 4 weeks later, she received some news that the biopsies actually revealed more. And for this particular gynecologist, it was out of her expertise. So she referred her to an oncology gynecologist. And at that point, she said she remembers shutting down. She couldn't speak, and she had to hand the phone over to her partner to find out the rest of the information. So a lot of people hear the word oncology, they think of cancer, and the mind can go into all sorts of spins. So in December, she was meeting this new oncology gynecologist to have more biopsies. And because of her past experience, blood pressure bottoming out and passing out, they gave her some gas before the drip. She had these biopsies very close to Christmas time of 2020. And then in January 2021, she received a call that was not so positive, basically asking her if she was done having kids, of which she had two. But I have worked with people over the years that even though they are done having kids, just receiving the news that you potentially can't have any more is quite confronting and something to work through in itself. So she was asked by this new specialist, are you done having kids? You've got aggressive changes to the cells, and actually we need to book you in for a surgery and you need to have a hysterectomy. And she asked, why does this have to be so soon? This is January. She was booked in for surgery only a month later, and it was down to the aggressive changes that were happening. So in February 2021, over her 40th birthday, she spent her time in hospital having a hysterectomy, so having her uterus removed. And whilst they were in there, they decided to do more biopsies on the surrounding areas. And then she received another call. So thinking that surgery was going to remove all of the affected tissue, but unfortunately she received the news that the areas that were biopsied around the areas, around the surrounding areas, were still abnormal. And she was given the news that the changes could be slow, the changes could be fast, but that this would not go away. And being told something like that can have a huge impact on people. People can either believe that, live into it, or they can go the other way. And thankfully, I believe she went the other way. And she shared with me via email. When I asked her if I could share her story, she gave me a lot of detail, and I learned a lot more about her journey. Is she went into the fear of dying and not wanting to die from cancer. And so I want to read this little section of the email that she wrote to me. The bad news never seemed to end, and I believed in my body, and I knew I had to try something else. I was in full panic mode, thinking the worst. I'm too young to die of cancer. What if this progresses aggressively? What part of my body will they take next? I was suffocating. I looked into heaps of options. I tried an alkaline diet, investigated crystal healing, energy work, cranial sacral therapy, natural therapists all around the country. But what she really wanted to do, she shared with me, was to learn the emotional work that I share with people, the release process. And she shared that timing aligned. And so it was very soon after, I think it was possibly March 2021, so only 4 weeks post her hysterectomy surgery, we crossed paths and she definitely did the work. So I knew this part of her journey, but actually it was only well after, a year after, did I know the timeline and the process that I just shared with you. It was only a little while after that I actually understood the full process that she went through, because my work is very much focused on looking beyond the condition, looking beyond the precancerous cells or the cancer cells for some people, and what is the emotion that needs to be processed. So then it was August 2021 that she received the all clear. And very recently on my social media, I shared a post about how quite often when people receive the all clear, they don't actually get into the celebration energy, because the all clear also, after that, quite often people still need to get checkups. So I remember when we were working together that this woman was completely over having her tests, having her checkups, which I believe had to happen a lot of the time in the hospital. And if you recall, she has a fear of hospitals, so not a very conducive and supportive environment for her to be in. But she was completely over getting the news. Like, she felt like she had done all the things, but what was going to happen next? So I love that even though she had these experiences, she was willing to look deeper into the emotional aspect. So she then shared that she received the all clear. So these are her words. I was ecstatic. I could breathe and I could put this down to the release work I had done because nothing else changed. So I remember we actually live in the same town. I never see her out and about. And we bumped into each other, but I was on a mission. I had to get somewhere. So I recognized her face. I don't always recognize people's face because sometimes they look a little bit different on social media. So if you do know me, I'm not ignoring you. Please say hello. So I was like, yep, that's her. And I said, hi, I'm really sorry. I've got to go. And whilst I was walking on to wherever it was that I was off to, I really wanted to speak to her. And I knew I'm going to message her later and find out how she is. But I was thinking, oh, I wonder, what's going on? How is she? And of course, our paths went across again. And 10 minutes later, after I had done my thing, done my little mission, we bumped into each other again. And I stopped and I said, how are you? And my how are yous are very genuine. Like, I don't want just the I'm good, but I'm not really good. I actually wanted to know, how was she? And the words that came out of her mouth was, I'm clear. So this is before I found out that she had gone to the doctor, etc., any of the timelines. But I was like, oh my gosh. And it still surprises me, but doesn't surprise me. It's like, of course, this is possible. But I still get so excited for people when they share that with me. I'm clear. So that is where, since August 2021, I've asked, can I share your story? What parts can I share? And now I'm calling on her again all these years later to share it in this podcast, in this video. Now, the other thing that happened is that between her initial smear test back in 2020 and then her having surgery, only, I'd say, 6 to 8 months later, she mentioned that her father passed away and that this was a traumatic experience in amongst the whole journey. So this is where I say it's not just focusing on your diagnosis, whatever condition you have, it's addressing all facets of your life. But processing emotions is often what it comes back to for me, that helps you handle and have the capacity to process everything that is yet to happen in your life, everything that has happened along the way. So thank you again for letting me share this story. I hope you have found it beneficial, inspiring along the way. I just love this woman's persistence, that despite everything that she had tried, conventional and alternative, she wanted to address the emotional aspect. And this is the core of my work. It's called the release process. And of course, it starts with that, but we look at all facets of your life. So if this resonates with you, if you're on a cancer healing journey, then I would love for you to let me know your story. I would absolutely love if you can share this with someone who you know is on a healing journey and looking at all possibilities that could support them. And if you are listening to this live on Thursday, the 16th of May at 11 a.m. New Zealand time, I've got a free masterclass called Navigating Emotions Behind Cancer. And this is where I'm going to be talking about all the metaphysical aspects that go into working on yourself at a deeper level and being open to the possibility of healing and navigating your journey wherever it is that you may be. Now, if you're not listening to this live, this masterclass is one that I intend to keep up for as long as it serves, and it will continue to be free. So you will be able to head to the show notes and you will be able to get the replay and dive in a level deeper. So again, thank you so much for letting me share your story on behalf of you, and we will keep in touch. I forgot to wrap up with when I recently got in touch with her just a couple of days ago to ask permission again to share. She said that she'd been going through her 6 month checkups and has got the good news that now she no longer has to go to hospital, no longer has to stick her legs in stirrups, which is great. And she doesn't have to have these consistent checkups. So she is all clear And I trust that she continues to look at herself and address herself on a deeper level to ensure that this is how it remains. Thanks for listening.